You know, not so long ago, I was just thinking to myself, thinking about the direction that I want this channel to go. If you go through my videos at first glance, it might seem like I have nothing to talk about except complain about the current state of gaming. But wait, what do you guys call it? Grifting? Just let me cook real quick. Before ever thinking about recording gameplay footage and speaking over it, I spent some time watching videos of other people playing games that I enjoyed when I was younger, and I realized that this made me miss that feeling. It made me want to go back and play those games to recapture those feelings. I also wanted to share this feeling with other people, make them feel good as they reminisce on the past. Maybe even inspire them to fire up an old system and get right into it. So as I was working on the script for this video, initially I wanted to talk about a specific game that gives me that exact feeling every time I play it. Then I also started thinking about the whole idea of nostalgia and why it's become such a common thing amongst people my age. People are having nostalgia of time periods that they weren't even born in, and there must be a reason for that. Anyway, my point is, I was just wondering if this sudden demand of old shit was due to some sort of collective delusion that the past was better than our present, like some sort of coping mechanism. And I say this because I always had to listen to the old people around me talk about how good the quality of life was back in their day, especially when it comes to product quality. I mean, of course, there's now a high demand for stuff, and the issue of a lot of people having way less money to spend, so corners are cut to minimize costs and meet demands, yada yada yada, whatever. These rant videos really have you going off on a tangent. Damn. Kudos to the guys that managed to do this and still hold your attention. Easier done than said. So, playing Mass Effect. Mass Effect always takes me to what I could call my definition of a better time. A truly different time where buying a game you don't know felt like an adventure. Before, watching a before you buy episode was necessary to avoid wasting money on what can be seen as a bad game. Waste. That's another word that comes up a lot these days. I don't know how old you are if you're watching this, which is kinda not good. I don't really check my analytics. I'm not too old myself, but if you do happen to be younger than I am, I come from a time where I got the opportunity to enjoy arguably some of the best video games in gaming history. Games that changed the gaming landscape and ultimately what we expect as consumers of those products. And the time period that I'm talking about is the mid 2000s to the mid 2010s. The games and systems that dropped during this time were straight up heat. Xbox 360, PS3, PSP, GTA games were being released like it's Oprah. There's just so much you could get into. You name it. Racing games, first-person shooters, action-adventure, Mass Effect, Gears of War, God of War, Uncharted, Skate. The peak of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I don't think anyone can say that this wasn't the best time in gaming. And the best part is you can play all of these games on less than 10 gigabytes of storage. I kid you not. You could just put your disc in the disk drive and play the game immediately. No installs or internet required to play. It's amazing, right? Back then, you could just pass the game over to your friends in return for another game if you were done with it. Everyone you knew had a game that you probably had never played before, but once you did, changed your life. People were borrowing and swapping game discs like it was herpes. Okay, moving on. So, during this fever pitch time of gaming, there I was, pre-adolescent. Is that how you pronounce that? I was young. For some time, my gaming experience had been limited to my brother's PlayStation 1. It's not that this sucked or anything. In fact, it was quite the opposite. I had an amazing time with Mortal Kombat Trilogy, the legendary Tekken 3, and a few other games and demos from the time, and this was 2003 to 2005, so I wasn't that far behind at the time, because the PlayStation... When did the PlayStation 2 come out? Came out I think early 2000s. Let me just look that up real quick. PlayStation 2 release date. 4 March 2000. That's when the PlayStation 2 came out. So I was I guess 5 years behind, which is kind of a long time, but it's not that bad. Fast forward to 2008, I get my first PlayStation 2 and my peers are already talking about the PlayStation 3. So already the gap is starting to grow, and there's certain aspects of gaming that I'm missing out on. This is because I come from a working class household and more lower middle class. I had friends that had more money than me and some friends that had less money than me. But point is, I often had to wait before getting things. The new BlackBerry curve phones come into popularity. I couldn't get one. New PlayStation 3 comes out. Most of the kids got one, but I had to wait. We didn't even have internet or cable at my house. So I can't lie, this bothered me for some time, but I ended up accepting and appreciating the pace that my life was going. I started appreciating the constraints that had seemed like a disadvantage at first, because here I am now. I've got years worth of backlogged games from what I would say again is arguably the best period of gaming to go through and enjoy. So when I see 12-year-olds bitching and like have existential crises over the Wi-Fi being slow, it's like it's like chill, dog. It's really not that deep, young man. And like dudes are trading stocks at age 13, losing sleep and cutting off friends for the bag. Just like go be a kid, bro. Play some games. Like when did things become so serious? When did people start just focusing on nothing but financial gain? It's kind of sad. The world economy is bound to implode at some point, so you might as well just live life. But anyways, I really can't imagine what my life would have been like if I had always gotten the latest shit on release. Like the new Cyberpunk 2 comes out, $100 at release, pre-order, early release content. Alright, bet. New PlayStation 6 comes out, boom, launch edition on tap, release price, paid in full. Like, damn, bruh, that's crazy. Is there even any enjoyment to living life like that? Well, of course, this is if you put aside the initial feeling of immediate gratification from the dopamine, but after a few moments of realizing that you own that thing and the excitement is gone, it's like, what else is there besides that? What's next? But again, I digress. So my whole point in this is that Mass Effect 1 reminds me of a time when things just seemed a bit more deliberate. The games released around the time of Mass Effect were something special, and some were pushing boundaries in gameplay mechanics, doing things in ways that were new, and some were pushing the boundaries with things like narrative-driven stories in games, and some pushed the boundaries on the size and detail of their worlds, which for some was astronomical at the time considering the technological limitations. I must admit, I hated Mass Effect at first. I couldn't understand why there was so much talking. All niggas did was just talk in this game when I first played it. That's all I saw, and I was used to like fast-paced action games at the time, like cutscenes here and there, but then we get back into the action and that's it. Like none of the games I had ever played before Mass Effect 1 had given me the power to make decisions that actually have consequences, and once I understood that, I just couldn't stop playing this game. It was all that I had back then, and if I wanted a new game, I had to ask my parents and then wait until that one good month where they had just enough disposable money to indulge me. So I had to make peace with owning just this one game. My mom ended up buying me a few other games after that, but one day I just found myself just loading up Mass Effect, and from there on out, the rest is history. On that day, I just really got into it for some reason. I listened to everything the characters had to say, and the story was hitting. I'd never played a game that had such detailed story and dialogue. Before, when I played games, like the games that I played before, they carried me through the story, and Mass Effect actually got me into games like Fallout and Skyrim, and those games too were a whole new and amazing experience for me, and a lot of other people as well, I'm sure. I remember loading up Skyrim on my brother's PS3 for the first time on Christmas. That shit was crazy, bro. Like, I had so much fun with it. So much fun with it. The character creation that had blown my mind in Mass Effect, and like now this, all these races to experiment with and places to explore, all these different enemy types, you know, it was crazy. I truly can't explain in words how it felt to be alive at that time, but moments like that are what made me love video games the way that I do now. I feel like today's games fully embody the apathetic spirit of the current times we're living in. Everything feels rushed and repetitive. You're not even sure who the movies and games being released are targeted towards. Brands are going through identity crises. They're trying to please their old audiences whilst still sucking up to the new crowds. It just has everyone divided. Like, I get that devs were on their experimental shit like in the early 2000s. New tech was coming out and they were probably also compelled to push the boundaries. It was normal and maybe even seen as a necessity because most of what was discovered back then got us to where we are today. But also gaming wasn't being taken as seriously as it is today, and it wasn't as lucrative of a trade. Studios were getting defunct left, right, and center, and now companies put far more effort in making safe investments that look good on paper. I mean, it's a business at the end of the day, and the returns have to justify the effort. But damn, bro, like, gaming couldn't be in a worse state than it is right now. Everything is either a remake, remaster, a reboot, or a weak attempt at a nostalgia cash grab. Very little new IP, and when we do get new IP, it sucks. In this process of hearing about new game announcements, going through the hype, and then eventually the disappointment, it's gotten so stale that you might end up overlooking the gems that do exist. Like, it all goes back to that feeling of paranoia and having to watch hundreds of reviews before buying one stupid game just to avoid disappointment. As a gamer back then, it felt like you were always in for like an unpredictable experience. You would either really hate the game that you just played, or it potentially changed the way that you see gaming, and Mass Effect was one of those games for me. Like, this game was huge at the time. Like, comparing Mass Effect to Starfield, it's a really small game, but at the time it just felt surreal, being able to travel to other planets, encounter different species, the ability to develop relationships with characters, the quality character models, the freedom given in the creation system. Long story long, it was amazing. Like, you know a game has great character customization when you can play like 5 times over with like different playstyles. Like, there's classes I've never used in this game. There are decisions and options I've never taken. So basically, I haven't even played the game to its fullest, and I've had it for like 10 years now, if not longer. Like, most games today feel like they're over before you even get through the main story. Maybe we're not the crazy ones for hating everything new that's released. Maybe it's not our fault. No one is taking risks anymore, like real risks. And I don't mean creating a game in the latest Unreal Engine and using next-gen graphics to sell an unfinished broken mess. I mean, I'll make this video longer than it already has been. If you made it through to the end, thank you. I hope it resonates with you. I hope that it makes you think about what made you love gaming. That's the whole point of this video. I took so much time out of your day just to tell you that, but I'm hoping that it made you at least feel some sort of way. But yeah, thank you. Bye.